Hello everyone, it's Alice and welcome to February's reading update. So we introduced reading updates last month as a kind of alternative to a mid-month wrap-up, so I could just tell you not only reviews of the books that I've finished, but anything that I'm kind of in the middle of reading, just like a bit of a more informal mid-month wrap-up. And I had a lot of fun filming it, and you all seem to really enjoy it, so we've decided we are going to do them monthly. We actually didn't end up doing a January wrap-up because after that mid-month reading update, we only finished 2 more books. One of which was What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera, which I actually did an entire dedicated rant review to. So if you'd like to check that out, then you can see my thoughts on that hot mess over there. And I'm going to talk about the other book that we finished in January now. We've been having a good reading month still. I'm feeling pretty proud of us. We haven't really finished many books, but we've been reading some chunkers, as you can see by this big old stack in my hands. So, without further ado, let me tell you about some of them. So the other book that we finished in January was Call Down the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater. I did mention that I was reading this in my reading update because I was doing a reread of it ready to read Mr. Impossible, which I still haven't picked up. But I enjoyed Call Down the Hawk so much second time around that I still gave it 5 stars, and I would still highly recommend this series to anyone. This is the first book in the Dreamer trilogy, which is a spin-off to the Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. It follows Ronan and some new characters that get involved, and it's really interesting. It's hard to give you any information about it without giving spoilers because of the fact that it is kind of the 5th book in a series, but there's a lot about dreaming and reality and the truth of who you are versus the truth that you portray to the world, and it's just a really interesting story and it's very promising. The ending is such a massive cliffhanger and I'm just looking forward to seeing how it all plays out in Mr. Impossible when I eventually pick it up, hopefully next month. So yeah, 5 stars. Amazing. At the beginning of February, I finally managed to finish A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J Maas. This one was not so much of a success for me. I can't honestly remember whether I ended up giving it 3.5 stars or 4 stars, but I didn't love this one as much as I loved A Court of Mist and Fury, but I didn't dislike it as much as I disliked A Court of Thorns and Roses on my reread. So it's a good series ender, considering this was the end of the trilogy and now more books have been added, but it certainly wasn't my favourite in the series. Again, this one's hard to sum up easily without giving spoilers, but there are a lot of things that just feel a bit too convenient and too easy. So like there's a lot of happily ever after moments that don't feel very genuine, and I kind of wanted to get my heart ripped out during this book. I thought I was going to experience a lot more pain than I did, and I didn't really experience any pain. And that's a good thing. Some people like it when books have happy endings, and some people like it when books don't have that kind of bittersweet feel to them. I'm one of those people that does enjoy that. However, this did give me more of an appreciation for Sarah J Maas's writing, and I loved the fact that this one focused a lot more on the fantasy world and the kind of interactions between the courts and introducing some more of the courts that we've only heard of in the past, we haven't actually explored or interacted with. So the world building is a lot better, and there's a lot less focus on the relationship between Feyre and the male that she is involved with. Trying not to be spoilery just in case people haven't read the other ones. But yeah, there's a lot of focus on the story and the background characters. There's a lot more focus on Feyre's sisters Elaine and Nesta. You get to hear a lot more about Azriel and Cassian, and it's nice to have the focus lean away from Feyre a bit more, because even though I like Feyre as a character, it feels like she did so much development in book 2 that it's nice to get the lens kind of shifting towards the others. And I'm pretty sure that people have described A Court of Silver Flames as Nesta and Cassian's story, so I'm hoping that that lens will kind of skew even further away from Feyre and will focus more on the other characters, because that seems to be giving me much more enjoyment with this series. Talking of Sarah J Maas, can you guess what I've been rereading this month? Oh yeah, House of Earth and Blood. I loved this book the first time I read it. I'm loving it the second time I've read it. I am currently an unknown amount of pages in because I am reading it on my phone. So I am actually 622 pages out of 800. So I've still got a little bit that I need to try and get done before I can finally read House of Sky and Breath, which came out yesterday, and I've already got 4 copies of it, and I just want to read them because they're here and they're on my stairs and I can't read them until I finish this. So I need to hurry up, which is one of the reasons I'm filming quite quickly today. But I just cannot sum up how much I love this series. It is an urban fantasy adult first book in a series that follows a girl called Bryce. She is investigating a murder, and it's kind of like crime thriller as well as being in a fantasy world. So it blends a lot of different elements together that I really love. I love the relationship between Bryce and Hunt. I love the interactions between Bryce and the other characters. I love the fact that the viewpoint switches between Bryce and Hunt and some of the other characters. Like, you get to follow her brother Rune for a little bit, and it's nice to get to explore the world so thoroughly. There's a lot of potential with this series. There are a lot of things that haven't been explored in this first book that can be explored in the later ones, and I will be very, very surprised if I don't end up giving this 5 stars when I finish my reread. But hopefully, if you check back by the end of the month, I will have read this and I will have read House of Sky and Breath, so you should get a little kind of review on the two of them together then. But I love it so much. I just love it. I don't know what it is about this book that grips me so intensely and so tightly, because considering we were in a reading slump, I've read like 600 and something pages of this in 2 weeks. That's huge for somebody who was in the middle of a reading slump like 4 weeks ago. I'm very happy with that. And the last book I have to talk to you about today is The Shadow Rising by Robert Jordan, which we have also continued on from reading in January. It is February now, isn't it? Have I been saying January this whole time? I don't remember. But yes, we've continued reading this from January, and we are now merely 70 pages away from the end of this chunky beast that has taken us a year. And I think I'm still going to give it 4 stars. I'm not sure yet. I haven't obviously finished it yet. But the only reason it won't be getting a 5 stars is because of the fact that there was that section in the middle that we really struggled to get past. There's this bit where all of the characters are kind of splitting off in different directions. Perrin's going one way, Rand and Matt are going another way, and even Elaine are going another way. And it's just such a drain because they're all saying goodbye and they're all introducing new characters and new locations that they're going to. And it was so stale and I could hardly get through it. And we were trying to read a chapter a day, and then we put it down for like a whole year, and I felt no inclination to pick it up again. It was only because Sean said at the start of the year that he wanted to finish this one first. Like literally on New Year's Day, I was like, what do you want to read? And he was like, Shadow Rising. And we've been kind of churning through it since then. Since we picked it up again, we have managed to read 800 pages. No, that's not good math. 700 pages. So we've done really, really well with this one, considering how much we were struggling on it. And we should actually get this finished tonight. So you will get my thoughts on this towards the end of the month. And we won't be carrying on with the Fires of Heaven straight away because we're going to read House of Sky and Breath next. But I don't want to leave it as long to carry on with the next book in the series, because these are much more enjoyable when you're reading them close together, because it's easier to keep track, because it's a very, very large cast of characters. They're all moving around. It's a very large world. The kind of interactions between the different countries and cities and stuff are very intricate, so it's easier to keep it all in your head if you read them close together. But I can say I'm still really loving this story. It's also helping that there's been hardly any Rand in the last half. We're kind of jumping from Perrin to Nynaeve and Elaine, and we're not really going to Rand at all. And I like that, because I said this about the Dragon Reborn, which is the 3rd book. I just don't really like Rand. And in that book, Rand kind of runs off by himself and no one can find him. So there's like a whole book where there's no Rand. And then he just comes into it at the end. But by that point, you're already so far through that it doesn't really make a difference. This one I struggled with a bit more because there's a very intense kind of Rand section at the beginning. And then it kind of shifts focus again. So hopefully the Fires of Heaven will do the same thing and be more focused on the other characters, because there's just something about reading Rand that just really it just grates on me, and I don't know why. I'm just not a huge fan of his character, which isn't great considering he's the one that we're meant to be rooting for, but I just think the kind of... the other characters just have far more interesting motivations, and the way that they're doing things just interests me a lot more. And when you're reading a book that's 1,000 pages, you want to be reading about interesting characters, not about one that you're kind of ambivalent towards. But yes, hopefully a 4-star read when I finish it off, and hopefully finishing it off later today. So I'm feeling pretty proud. We've read like, oh god, at least 800 pages this month, possibly more already. And that's really, really good. Definitely more, because obviously we finished A Court of Wings and Ruin at the start of the month as well. Probably getting on for 1,000 pages this month. So considering how much we had been struggling to read, we're in a much better position. I'm so excited about House of Sky and Breath that I could cry. So I think we're going to read that one very, very quickly as well. So I'm actually getting to the stage I feel excited about reading again. I'm looking forward to picking up different things. I'm not forcing myself to finish books that I'm not enjoying. Daddy by Emma Cline. I don't actually think we've picked that up since I did the mid-month update last month. And I've got 2 days until it expires on the library app, and I've got 3 short stories left, and I cannot see myself shoving through that, so I think I'm just going to let that one go. But it's nice to actually be drawing a line and saying, look, okay, if I'm not enjoying something, I'm just going to DNF it, I'm just going to move on, I'm not going to force myself, and to actually be picking up books that I'm really loving because of that. Yay! Please let me know down in the comments how your reading month is going so far. If you are one of the many thousands of people who are reading House of Sky and Breath, please do not spoil me, but just tell me if you're loving it, because I need to know that it's as good as book 1. And if you're currently rereading book 1, then excite with me, because it's so good. It's so freaking good. I love it so much. I'm so excited for book 2. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. If you'd like to subscribe, we'd be super duper grateful. If you'd like to pop back in a couple of days, we post new videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. So we'll see you in a couple of days with another video, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend, depending on when this video goes up, or a wonderful week. Just have a good life. Bye! And the last book that I've got to talk to you about today that we've also been continuing from last month is The Shadow Rising. Oh, the camera decided to die, of course.